What's going on, guys? Evan the Demon Souls enthusiast here, bringing another Demon Souls gameplay commentary. In this gameplay session, we're going to be talking a little bit about different character builds and what these stats mean to you. So if you decide to get into Demon Souls, or if you're trying to follow this series and see why I'm leveling up the things that I am, this video should help you grasp the character design process of Demon Souls, which is not all that different from Dark Souls. This is not going to focus exclusively on my character, but rather just what the stats govern and how they're used in general within the world of Demon Souls. In addition, I will be completing World 1-2, which is the Phalanx Archstone, which ultimately concludes with the Tower Knight. So this is a shorter upload in comparison to the first one. A little less to cover in this session. We completed a world in 15 minutes. Tower Knight is not a particularly challenging boss, particularly if you're like me and you got the cheesy gear early on, which I did, and I feel no shame in doing. I encourage all players to go grab the Falchion out of 4-1 like you saw in my last video. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into it, and I want to talk a little bit about these different stats, and this is going to be from the top. It's meant to be an exhaustive list, but there's definitely better resources out on the wikis and on the FAQs posted out there. In particular, Phantom EFWGs is excellent. I think I actually said his name wrong. Excuse me. Phantom EWGF's FAQ, which is posted on Game FAQs, is great. There'll be a link in the description of the video if you really want to read into this stuff in depth. Some of my resources are pulled from there, and some of it's just from my own personal experience. Of course, even experienced veterans like that can always, I'm an experienced Demon Souls veteran, but I still benefit from turning to the wiki and some other information published out there to help me out. Of course, you will see me bring down the Red Dragon in this video, although it's particularly ungraceful and rather dull. It'll be a sped up video clip, which is coming up right now. But anyway, moving forward the stats, let's talk about breakpoints, because the whole thing about any Souls game that's been created thus far, because I know Dark Souls 2 is on the way, and maybe it'll change the rules, but I doubt it. Character design in a lot of RPGs and a lot of games period where you can level up particular stats and your stat gains are under your control and not just assigned by the developers, is reaching breakpoints. Or breakpoints basically represent particular points where it's efficient to invest in that stat, or investing in this stat will get you something in particular that is of great use to your character, depending on what you're trying to do. So a simple way of putting it is, so if you need, say, 100 MP to cast a spell that you want to cast, and intelligence governs MP, then you'll raise your intelligence to the point of being able to cast that spell, which is really relevant later in this description. So I'm probably making it sound more confusing than it is, so we'll talk about that, and I think the examples I provide will make it really simple. So vitality. All vitality typically governs in this game is your HP. And of course, any of the Souls games, raising any stat will raise your defense, so to a point you never have a completely one-sided character. It's just that raising vitality is absolutely essential in any Souls game. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the breakpoints on vitality and what they'll get you. Almost any player that's not trying to intentionally challenge themselves will build, a character that has at least 20 vitality. Playing below that is basically just reserved for challenge builds and goofy stuff like that, or true glass cannons, and I don't really think they're particularly practical in any way. So to sort of itemize the breakpoints on vitality, typically most players aim anywhere between 40 to 50, and the bravest of souls usually stop at 30. That's because as you invest in vitality, it starts to sort of taper off. It's a diminishing returns, which is what the breakpoints are important for. Breakpoints often represent points where the returns start to diminish to the point you should consider ceasing to invest. So, for reference, if you raise your vitality in Demon Souls from 20 to 30, you'll gain 308 additional HP. 30 to 40 would be 225 HP, 40 to 50 would be another 175 HP, 50 to 60 would only be 88 more HP, and 60 to 99, just outright maxing the stat would only get you an extra 312 HP. So most builds, like I said, will stop between 40 and 50. That includes for player versus player or player versus engine. The ego's choice on this matter is, for most of my builds, I like to stop at 50. You get pretty good returns on your vitality up to 50. And at 50, it drops to the point it's not worth investing unless you're intentionally doing like a vitality gouge. Examples of that would be Northern Regalia builds, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But that would be the equivalent of your sort of elemental weapon from Dark Souls, if you will. I'll get into the next upload will be an extensive discussion of the most common and popular builds on Demon Souls. So the Ego Xeno choice is 50. I recommend it for any character if you can spare the stats. If you can't, at least get to 40, maybe even 45. Anything less than 40 is a mistake in my mind, unless you're just trying to do something goofy and fun, which I guess on a Souls game might be a mistake in its own way. So next stat is Intelligence. Intelligence on Demon Souls governs the number of spell slots you have, essentially, and the amount of MP you have, so it has two important elements to it. So some breakpoints for reference is 14 points would be just shy of 100 MP and 2 spell slots. That's relevant because pretty much any player is going to want to cast Second Chance, and Second Chance requires 100 MP. So most players at least go to the minimum, which is 15 for 100 MP and 2 spell slots. Now with that said, it is possible to keep your intelligence, lower and then use MP boosting items, but 14 plus MP boosting items is probably the lowest you can go. Better just to go up to 15 and free up your equipment slots so you can wear whatever you want and still have the minimum 100 MP. I like to go a little higher. Some other breakpoints is, 18 is 3 spell slots at 119 MP, 24 is 4 spell slots, 30 is 5 spell slots, and 40 is 6 spell slots. If you're making a caster build, I recommend at least going to 30, because having access to all the spell slots is pretty awesome if you have the stats invested into magic and faith or whatever you're using to make the magic powerful. And of course, the more you intend to cast, the more slots you'll need, the more spells you want to use on a regular basis. My personal choice is if you're not primarily a caster, I would stop at probably 18. 15 is the minimum, essentially, for 2 slots in that 100 MP breakpoint, which is so essential. But I actually recommend just dumping the 3 extra points and taking it up to 3 slots. You get 119 MP, so you'll have enough to cast your Second Chance, plus the extra 3 points will net you an extra spell slot, which is really useful to put on utility stuff like some of the cloud magic and stuff like that. And I'll cover the magic types in another video, more than likely. So, of course, you're on a dedicated caster. I would say a minimum is 30, maybe even 40, but yeah, my choice on most builds is 18. So Endurance. Much like in Dark Souls, Endurance governs your equip load, governs your stamina bar. One important note between Demon Souls to Dark Souls is the armor you're wearing is almost inconsequential in Demon Souls. Poise does not exist, so anything can hit stun. You don't need the highest possible equip load. There's just no benefit. My personal recommendation, however, would be go ahead and take it to 40 for the full stamina bar. Now, some tweaked builds for player versus player stop at 30 or 35, depending on the number of swings their weapon's going to make. Say Claymores in Demon Souls typically only have 2-hit combos. They can't string together more attacks, so they tend to stop at like 30 to 35. My choice would be just 40 on any character. I like having that max stamina bar. It's always nice being able to roll more. It's always a beneficial thing. Being able to roll more, being able to block better. If you're playing a Tomb PvP build, this commentary is probably of not a particular value to it anyway. So for new players or people thinking about where they want to go with their build, no one would ever fault you for having 40 endurance. If not optimal, then it's really good. So obviously the Ego Xeno choice is 40 endurance. Get that stamina. Alright, so next up on the list is strength. Strength is one of those stats that either is a minimum or a dump. Dump is in you take it as high as your build allows. You meet your other breakpoints and you just dump the excess into strength, because it governs damage for crushing weapons. So if you're not doing a crushing build, you want to take strength just to the bare minimum to equip the weapon you want. Whereas if you're doing a crushing build, you want to put as many points into strength as humanly possible. It does start to diminish as it levels up, but if it's your primary damage attribute, 50 would be the minimum. The Ego Xeno choice for my current build will be 20 for the Guillotine Axe, which I'm pretty excited to use, and you'll see in future uploads of Demon Souls. And of course, one thing to remember when you're looking at strength, much like in Dark Souls or any Souls game, is if you intend to two-hand the weapon, you can take a third of that strength requirement off. I recommend doing a calculator on that, or all the wikis, of course, have all the weapon requirements online for quick reference. So, Dexterity is the exact same thing as strength, with one exception, which is Dexterity And Dark Souls, of course, would govern the speed at which you cast and things like that. Not true in Demon Souls. There is no hidden modifiers from Dexterity. It's literally just the base you want to use for your weapon. Now, if you have no intention of doing any player versus player on Demon Souls, you just want to, PvE, player versus the engine, and just screw the PvP, the game's dying anyway, the fire's fading, the souls are, the fog is engulfing Boletaria, whatever logic you want, whether it be roleplay or otherwise, I can respect that, and at that point I think you'd want to take Dexterity all the way up to 16, because bows are extremely useful in any of the Souls games, not only for pulling, which is, attacking a creep so it runs away from other monsters and, attacks you in sort of a favorable position. But so there is a bow that does not actually get any damage from Dexterity. It has the lava bow. It's made out of the armor spider soul. So frankly, my advice would be, if you're just playing versus the engine, at least take your Dexterity to 16 so you can use the lava bow. Now, I don't require the lava bow. I just use an upgraded compound bow. It does way less damage, and it doesn't have the added fire damage that the lava bow does. The lava bow adds 100 fire damage to any attack, which is fantastic. Many enemies and bosses are weak to fire. So I can't recommend it enough, but in my case, the Ego Xeno choice, because I just don't really require a bow anymore, would be, base, which on a Temple Knight is 12, but it depends on your character. Of course, if you're using a Dexterity weapon, sharp weapons, or unique governed by Dexterity, it's another dump. Magic stat basically governs spell power. If you're playing a caster, go up to 50. If you're only using your magic to cast light weapon, which is basically like the Dark Moon Blade of this game, or curse weapon or what have you. Curse weapon, of course, is not governed by magic, but if you're using light weapon, because light weapon enchants your weapon and adds damage equivalent to your magic, I would recommend probably take it to 30. There's no reason to go for diminishing returns. Take it to 50 if you're an actual caster, and that'll give you, the highest possible damage you can get without it just scaling off into nothing. Never take it above, I guess never take it above 50 magic ever. It's just not worth it. There's some other breakpoints you can know, like equipping the Insanity Catalyst and things like that, but that's not really relevant to our discussion of the stat as a whole. Lastly, Faith. I'm making a Faith character. Pretty much all players are going to get 16 Faith, which will give you 2 Miracle slots, which is equivalent to equipping Second Chance. All builds require Second Chance, player versus engine or otherwise. Second Chance does exactly as it's described. You die and you come back to life. I can't recommend Second Chance enough. So, something to think about. If you're playing a Faith character like I am, you're going to take it up to 40 or 50, because that's when the damage starts to drop off really bad. And if it's your primary damage attribute, going way up is great. It also gets you more Miracle slots. And Luck, never level Luck. Luck is pretty much completely useless. So now up on the screen here, you will see my character design, which I'll talk more about in the next upload and some other builds while I'm at it. But here you'll see on this little spreadsheet here I've uploaded exactly what my character is going to look like, what I'm going to have equipped, things like that. So this is just for reference, where the character's heading and things like that. So that's pretty much an overview of character design in Demon Souls. Of course, using these numbers will require you to probably go out and reference some stats and things like that, look at some numbers, and see exactly what you want to build and how you want to go about it. If it's your first character, I think you should just find a weapon that has a moveset you like, and then get the minimum requirements to use that weapon, probably one-handed as well, so you can experience both the one-handed and two-handed moveset. Then just decide what kind of damage you want to go, and just go with it. I wouldn't recommend like an all-in caster build on first playthroughs, by the way. Magic gets kind of challenging later on if you're not comfortable duping or farming souls for spice. But alright guys, that's a quick overview of the stat distribution character creation of Demon Souls. I know I stumbled through it a little bit, but trying to convey it from your mind can be pretty challenging. So I appreciate everyone for watching. I hope everyone's enjoying this series. I'm enjoying uploading it. This is one of the few videos where I actually would request a like or a comment, because it's important to me to see that people are still interested in the Souls games, because it's been so long since I've uploaded. But either way, that's my spiel. I appreciate everyone watching, and I'll see everyone next time.